Hello everyone, this is Matt Davis, and the goal of this video is to prepare you for the Chapter 1 Collaborative. And preparing for the Chapter 1 Collaborative is part of the Chapter 1 cycle, and we're going to repeat the chapter cycle over and over again from Chapters 1 through Chapter 11. So after I'm done showing you what you need to do to prepare for Collaborative 1, I'll then kind of show you the rest of the Collaborative 1, or the Chapter 1 cycle, so that you feel like you've seen the full picture for a chapter, or at least a quick glimpse of the full picture. So the first part of getting prepared for a collaborative and the first part of a chapter cycle is to fill in the notes packet for that chapter. So you'll want to start off in the Math 43 page, which you can get to through a link at the top of the active learning page, or you can also get there through the link that I've included in emails that I've sent to you earlier. So once you get to this Math 43 page, scroll down a little bit and you want to look for this section right here that says Note Packets. And when you click on that, it's going to take you to a folder that has the note packet PDFs for all the chapters. I've already opened up the Chapter 1 packet, so this is what you should see. Once you have this packet pulled up, you're going to want to print it and then fill it in. Rather than clicking on the print button, you should download it first and then open it up in a PDF viewer and print from the PDF viewer. A lot of the PDFs in this class have math symbols in them that don't print correctly sometimes if you go straight from your browser. So I think you'll have better luck getting kind of perfectly printed packets if you download them first and then print them from a PDF viewer. Alright, so once you have this packet downloaded and printed, you're going to want to go ahead and fill it in. And you're not on your own to fill it in. I've made videos of myself kind of talking through these packets and filling them in much like I would if you were in the classroom and I was lecturing to you. So if you go back to the Math 43 page where you downloaded that packet and you click over here on lecture videos to the right, that'll take you to this page that has links to all the different videos for the entire semester. And so we see that there's 5 videos for Chapter 1 that we'll need to watch to fill in the packet. It also lists the times of those videos, so you can help kind of see how much time you're going to have just on the watching part for filling those in so that there's no surprises. And that does vary quite a bit from chapter to chapter, so it's good to kind of give yourself a heads up of, is this an intense chapter or a lighter one, by looking at how much video time you're going to have. So once you open that video up, again, it's going to be basically me going through the process of talking through these packets and filling them in as if it was a lecture. So just watch that video, have your packet out, take notes as you go through, fill in the packet to get it complete. If there's something you have a question about, maybe make a note of that, and then during the collaborative session or an office hour you could ask me about it. So that's a drawback of having the lectures through videos. You can't just ask those questions immediately, but do make a note of them for later, and also take advantage of the benefit of having it be a YouTube video. Maybe if you just rewind and watch that part again, maybe it'll click with you a little bit better. So you do have that option to watch more than once. Once you've completed section 1.1, and I would encourage you just to do 1.1 at first. So once you get to 1.2, go ahead and stop. Move over to active learning at that point. Look at the Chapter 1 module and look for the section 1.1 homework quiz. And this quiz is designed to be some of the kind of easier problems. Sometimes it works its way up to some harder ones as we get through the chapter, but they tend to be kind of lighter questions that shouldn't be too hard to answer if you've just watched the video. You'll have that packet filled out, so keep that right next to you and handy to help you take the quiz, and when you're done with it, you'll get a score back immediately. To show me that you've prepped for Collaborative 1, I'd like to see a 50% or higher on all of these quizzes. Now, 50% is an F, so that's not a great score, but you don't have to be great at this to be prepared for Collaborative 1. You just need to have wrestled with it a little bit. So don't stress out if the score is not too high, as long as you're hitting at least that 50% mark. If you don't hit the 50% mark, then look through the ones you missed, see if you can find the answer in the notes, and then give it another try. I would encourage you not to do these like over and over and over again and never make it to section 1.2 because you're trying to make this perfect. You'll have an opportunity after the collaborative is done and after you've worked on some written homework to come back and do these again with a little bit more knowledge and experience and try and get those scores higher. but make sure you are aiming to get at least that 50% plus so that you're demonstrating that you've wrestled with it and are prepared for the collaborative. And once you've hit that mark, then go ahead and move on and repeat this process for 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, and 1, 5. So we would go back to the lecture notes. We would fill in the lecture notes for section 1.2 by watching the video from section 1.2, and then come back to active learning, take that quiz, get a 50% or higher, move on to 1.3, and so on. And when you have finished that, I would argue at that point you are prepared for Collaborative 1. Now, at the beginning of the semester, there's often some people who are having a little bit of trouble or delays in getting active learning set up. So a little later in this video, I'll tell you what you can do if you don't have access to these quizzes, so you can still demonstrate to me that you've prepared for Collaborative 1. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but at this point we've kind of seen the main cycle of preparing for a collaborative, which is watching those videos and filling in the packet and taking the quizzes to help break it up. I would encourage you to do that section by section. I think if you watch all the videos at once, first of all, that's too much video nonstop, and secondly, you're not getting to quiz yourself on small pieces of material right after you've seen those small pieces of material, and I think you'd do better if you took it in small chunks like that. So I would encourage you, as you're prepping, one section at a time, fill in the notes, take the quiz, repeat the quiz once if necessary to get the score you need, go to section 2, watch a video, quiz, and repeat that process. Alright, so now let's go ahead and look at what the rest of a chapter 1 cycle looks like, and you might sometimes include some of that as part of your prep as well. Alright, now I'm going to move on to looking at some more parts of the process of the chapter 1 cycle, and the next part of the process would be working on the written homework. And you don't necessarily have to work on written homework before Collaborative 1, but if you're struggling with the quizzes, I would definitely suggest you do that. On the other hand, even if you're doing great on the quizzes, maybe jump into the homework while it's fresh in your mind and you can get some work done to spread it out a little bit. So what does the process of doing written homework look like? Well, if we go to the Math 43 page, there's a link that says Homework List. And if we click on that, we'll see a list of the problems that are assigned from the book for each chapter in each section. And most chapters also include a chapter problem, and you can see all that for chapter 1 highlighted here on this page. So when it says section 1.1, 7, 10, 13, 15, what are we supposed to do with that? Well, if we go to the book and we scroll to the end of section 1.1, we'll see the exercise set. And so here's problem number 7, and what was it, 10, 13, I think. So anyway, what would you do? You would read this question, and you would write down the answer for A and B. Make sure that you do some good labeling, because you're eventually going to take this written work and scan it to a PDF. So I would encourage you to write it on standard size paper. Write section 1.1, write number 7, label the parts of your work A and B. If there's any work to show in getting to an answer, make sure you're showing that work in your homework as well. But that's where you'll be doing that, is from the book. And when we do chapter 1, we're going to be doing the whole, for every chapter cycle really, we'll be doing the whole chapter. So I would encourage you to kind of watch the videos, take all of the quizzes, and then move on to written homework after that. And when you do that, just kind of move from one section to the next. So if you get everything from 1.1 done, on to 1.2, on to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and eventually the chapter problem, I would definitely say don't worry about getting the chapter problem done as prep for the collaborative, but it's definitely something that you need to do by the time the homework's due, because you can never get full credit if you skip the chapter problem. I often grade some problems as well, and those are often even numbered problems, so it's also a good idea to make sure you're not skipping any even numbered problems. What if you're working on written homework and you're getting stuck on things? Well, if you go to the Math 43 page, there's a link for homework solutions, and that has solutions for the odd exercises, which is most of what's assigned. So you can use that if you get stuck or to check answers. I would be careful not to just use that where you are answering the question or reading the question, immediately looking at my answer and saying, oh, that makes sense, and write it down. It won't stick in your brain as well that way. you should definitely try to read the question, answer it on your own, and only turn to the solutions that are posted if you get stuck or if you want to check an answer. And when you click on that, it'll open a folder that has a PDF for each of the individual chapters, and again, mostly solutions to odd exercises in there. As far as the chapter problem goes, I'll give you a quick look at that. So if it said page 52, I think, so we'll scroll down to page 52. The chapter problem also, in case a page number is ever wrong, will immediately follow the last section's homework exercises. So I should scroll a little faster here. Sorry about that. All right, so here's section 1.5, which is the last section of chapter 1, and after you get through those exercises, you'll be at the chapter problem. And the chapter problem usually is kind of a mix of all the different things we learned in that chapter, and usually a little bit longer in terms of having several parts to it. But again, make sure that you always give that a full attempt, because I will tend to always look at least for completion on the chapter problem. Sometimes I will grade some of the parts of it as well. By the way, for those of you who are having any delay in getting set up with active learning and the book, if you go to the Math 43 page and you scroll down to the bottom, there is a viewable PDF of chapter 1 available so that you can get started on that homework even while you're still waiting for the book. Alright, once you've worked on homework a bit, I would say now you're fully prepared for Collaborative 1. So just a reminder of what I'm looking for before Collaborative 1 so that I can throw you into the prepared category of students. So why do you want to be the prepared student for the Collaborative? One, I group students by prepared or not prepared, and you'd rather work with other students who prepared than students who didn't. Secondly, if you're not prepared for Collaboratives, you can be marked absent. So how do you demonstrate to me that you're prepared? The fundamental way throughout the semester is going to be that I see that you have online homework quizzes that are 50% or higher. But early on, if you don't have active learning set up yet, just a reminder, the other option for you is that you can scan your notes packet. I guess maybe that's not even a reminder. I think I said I'd tell you later. So the other alternative for those of you who don't have active learning set up is you can take that notes packet that you printed and filled in and scan all the pages of that to a single multi-page PDF, and then send me an email saying I don't have active learning yet, but look, I have completed the notes packet, and then attach that PDF as a file to that email, and then I won't mark you absent for the preparation, and I will put you in a group with other people who are prepared. If that is your situation, I would encourage you to definitely work on some homework from each section, because other people will have taken quizzes, which is going to have made them wrestle with these ideas in their brain a little bit, and you should be doing that too. So you can do that a bit through the homework, even if you don't have active learning yet, because I am giving you that Chapter 1 PDF to view. For those of you that do have active learning, just make sure you get those quizzes up to 50%, and don't worry about sending me a packet. The notes packet is just for you, and you will have demonstrated your preparation through the quizzes. Though it is good to have that notes packet filled out too and have it handy for collaboratives, because a lot of times people in your group or myself will refer to certain pages of that to give you an example of how to work on the collaborative we're doing. Alright, so I think we've got a pretty good picture so far now of what prepping for Collab 1 looks like. So what's the rest of the cycle look like? Well, we can get some sense of that through looking at the Module 1 in Active Learning. After we've done those quizzes, then we would take the collaborative and we would submit that. We would complete our Chapter 1 written homework and we would submit that. And then the final piece is a technology project for Chapter 1. Another thing, though, that is worth a mention here is after you've done the homework, you should go back and try and improve any of these 5 quizzes that your scores are not at a place where you're satisfied with them. I told you I'd consider you prepared if you had a 50%, but a 50% on a quiz is an F, and those video quizzes have a pretty heavy weight in the overall class. The total weight of those quizzes combined is worth more than a single midterm exam is. So you really want to have good scores there, and you really should be able to have good scores there because you can take them over and over again. So after you've completed the collaborative with your group, after you've worked on your written homework, you're probably a lot better prepared to improve these scores now. And I would encourage you to take any of them that you don't have a score of that you're happy with, hopefully like an A or a B on them, that you go back and try and do those some more to try and boost them up. When you look at those homework quizzes, they will have a due date, but they will also have an available until date, and you can continue to improve those quizzes all the way up to the available until date, and there's no late penalty for those improvements. And by the way, only your best score counts on those quizzes, so even if you have an 88%, don't be afraid to try it again, thinking, what if you score lower? If you score lower, it'll stick with the 88, but if you get a 95, it'll move up to that. So it's worth it to try to improve it. So the one phase of the cycle that we haven't really looked at much yet is Tech 1. So let's go ahead now and take a look at what the process looks like for doing a tech project. Alright, like most things, when you're going to do a tech project, you'll start off back here on the Math 43 page. And if you scroll down a bit, you'll see a link for tech projects. And if you click on that tech projects link, then you'll get to a folder that has all the different tech projects for the semester. And sometimes I don't put them all in there at once. If there's one that's missing and you want to work on it, you can send me an email and I'll make sure it's updated and ready to go and put it in the folder for you. But you should definitely be able to find the Tech 1 there. And there's two kind of different things that we do on tech projects. Sometimes we use the StatSims Java folder programs, and other times we use StatCrunch. So problem number 1 on Tech 1 uses a StatSims Java application, and so you're going to need to download StatSims Java. The easiest place to do that is in Active Learning. There should be this link, StatSims Java download here. That's the easiest place to download it. If you don't have Active Learning yet, then if you go to the Math 43 page, there's a StatSims Java 8 link there for downloading. That one's a little bit more complicated. If you're going to use this one, there's a video that kind of goes through the process, and I'll show you where that is in a bit. So Active Learning's a little easier place to download it. If you're going to do this one, watch the video for help, and again, I'll show you that video in a moment. So as you're going through a tech project, you're going to be writing up a report in Word or in Google Docs or something like that, and you're going to just be following these detailed directions and labeling any of the parts that go in your report. Since this project is the first one that we use StatCrunch on, there's a little brief section here on kind of where to find StatCrunch. There's also a reference to a first day of class handout that you can use to get StatCrunch set up. That's located in this same folder where you'll have found Tech 1 down near the bottom. You'll be able to find that document. And StatCrunch is something you have to purchase for 6 months access, but it's my understanding that if you look carefully in the registration process, you can find a 2-week kind of free start. So I would encourage you to look for that if you're not prepared to pay for it right away. And then you'll go through the directions for that problem number 2. It's not problem number 1, chapter 1, problem number 2, chapter 2. This whole thing is Tech 1, so you'll do both of these problems and submit that report eventually to kind of conclude the chapter 1 cycle, and then we'll start over again with videos and lecture notes and quizzes for chapter 2. For tech projects, partners are suggested, and if you scroll down on this Tech 1 project, you'll see some of that partner info there, what the penalties are for working without a partner, the bonus for working with a big group, how you can use me as a partner if you don't have somebody else to use. Tech project is due after our collaborative, so you will be working with some other students in class that you can hopefully recruit to become partners. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a partner for the first one. There's only a half-point deduction for working alone, but if you start early, then even if you can't find a partner during the collaborative, you could use me as a partner during the office hours after that collaborative. Just a few other things to mention, and that'll wrap up this video. If you get stuck while you're working through the tech project, then if you go to the Math 43 page and you click on Video Support for Tech Projects, that will take you to this page where I have a video kind of helping you through the process of using the StatSims Java to solve problem number 1, and the second video will show you me using StatCrunch to solve problem number 2. I usually don't answer every question, or I'll answer a similar question because I don't want to just be giving you the answers in these videos, but I think you'll find if you get stuck that watching the videos will help you get unstuck. These videos are optional. In fact, I don't think you should watch them before you do the tech project. I think you should only turn to them if you're getting stuck. This one would be a good one to watch though for everyone. It's how to share a Google Doc. And that allows you to maybe share your document with your partner if you needed them to look it over. And it shows you how to share a document in a way that you can send it to somebody, and even if they don't have a Google account, they can still look at the document. So I think it's good to know how to share that way. Having said that, I think that when you're working with partners, sharing your document with them can sometimes be a little dangerous, in the sense that you don't know these people that well, you've just met them. What if they just copy and paste your work and put it in as their own? When that happens, it can be very clear to me that there was just copying going on, and there can be a penalty to both partners. So I think better than sharing your doc with somebody where they might just copy and paste stuff, have a Zoom meeting with them where you can share your screen and look at their screen, and you guys can kind of go over each other's reports and make suggestions in a way where people can't copy and paste. Maybe a little paranoid there, but I think it's a healthier way to do the discussion about your partnership, rather than just saying, hey, look this over and please don't copy anything. One other thing that is worth a note while we're on this page is that there can be some issues sometimes with the StatSims Java. So one of them can be with the downloading. If you're trying to do it from the Math 43 page, it's a little tricky. So I would encourage you, if you're downloading StatSims Java from the Math 43 page, watch this video about how that works. I don't think you need to worry about that so much if you're downloading the folder from Active Learning. That's a simpler process, but I know some of you won't have Active Learning ready, so for those of you that are in that boat, watch that video. There's another video on how to update Java. In rare cases, people don't have Java, or they have Java that's too old. That really is very rare. So if you're trying to open up the Powerball sim for Tech 1 out of that StatSims Java folder and it won't run, please contact me first. If you get some error messages, try and take pictures or screen captures of those and share them with me in the email that you send me, and let me try and help you without doing a Java update. We don't want to do a Java update if your Java is actually fine. That can sometimes make things worse. So the how to update Java on your computer should be considered a last resort. If you're having trouble with StatSims, just contact me and let me know what's going wrong. I've seen a lot of these issues now and know how to fix most of them. So I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to fix you or help you if you're having trouble with getting those StatSim Java programs to run. All right, so I think we've seen the full cycle. Let's just do a quick speed review of that full cycle, and the easiest way to do that is to look at Active Learning. In fact, we'll look at Active Learning for Chapter 2. We'll stick with Chapter 1. So we're going to get our notes packet, watch the lecture videos. Once we've watched 1.1, take 1.1 quiz, then watch 1.2, take 1.2, and so on until you've gotten through all 5 of those quizzes. If you still have some time, good to get started on the homework. Don't expect to submit the collaborative or the homework before the collaborative, but it's good to work on some of it first. Then we'll meet and we'll work on that collaborative in groups, which will eventually turn in. Homework will be due after that. You will then have opportunity still to improve these quiz scores. Once you're satisfied with those quiz scores, you can move on to tech, and that'll complete your cycle. There are some other things in Chapter 1, so just a reminder, we have a beginning of semester survey on the Math 43 page. We have a syllabus quiz that we can take right here in Active Learning. with a hard copy of that available on the Math 43 page for those of you who don't have active learning yet. And there is a Brainology response where all of that is also available on the Math 43 page. And I showed you kind of a tour of those 3 assignments in a previous video. Alright, I hope this gives you guys kind of a good glimpse into what the class is going to look like. Try not to get overwhelmed by what you see in the video. This is a cycle that we're going to repeat 11 times through the semester, so you'll start to get it down. And I'm going to be around during those collaborative meetings and during office hours to help you if you have trouble with any of these steps. I'm also available in email as well. So take advantage of those different ways to contact me and ask me questions, and I look forward to meeting all of you guys when we do Collaborative 1 soon.